Kusuo is a young individual with paranormal abilities who has spent his whole life trying to stay under the radar and not attract anyone's notice. But as the festival day approaches, he finds himself in a risky situation where his powers might be discovered. Now, he must use all of his abilities to prevent a disaster from occurring. Today, we'll go over the story of the 2017 movie Saiki Kusuo. 16 years ago, a couple who had been trying to have a baby finally succeeded and named their first child Saiki Kusuo. Despite his parents being regular people, the boy was born with extraordinary super abilities. He started talking at only 10 days old and was even able to levitate by the time he was 1 month old. Although his parents found this very unusual, they were amazed by his special talents. The couple saw Saiki's abilities as a blessing and chose not to take him to a laboratory. Instead, they decided to raise him on their own, providing him with a comfortable childhood. However, as Saiki entered his teenage years, his powers, despite being nearly limitless, started to feel like a curse rather than a gift. Despite his immense power, Saiki faces certain limitations. He can't use his abilities to win money at casinos due to the risk of being accused of cheating and getting arrested. Moreover, his mind-reading skill doesn't always help in romantic situations, as people's thoughts aren't always about love and romance, which can complicate things. Ironically, Saiki's incredible powers make life too easy, taking away the excitement and joy from his experiences. This abundance of abilities makes him feel unusually unlucky. In response, Saiki intentionally tries to lead a normal life by achieving average grades and deliberately placing third or fourth in competitions. Unfortunately, things get even more complicated for Saiki. He struggles to control his powers, which leads him to use antennas on his head to stabilize them and avoid accidentally causing destruction. However, this requires him to hypnotize his classmates so they don't notice the antennas during school. The teacher informs the students about the upcoming PK High School Festival, which is scheduled for the next month. Along with the announcement, a warning is issued, stressing the importance of maintaining good behavior. The underlying message is clear: any misconduct during this festival could lead to the cancellation of future events. Although Kusuo personally finds the festival uninteresting, he sees it as a chance to escape the crowds and spend some time alone. Determined not to miss this opportunity, he decides to take on the responsibility of ensuring that the event goes smoothly and without any issues. Once the teacher wraps up, another student named Hiro steps up to the front of the class. He announces his role as the class representative in charge of planning the activity for the upcoming festival. However, in this class, decisions are made democratically, and Hiro's idea of hosting an origami exhibition doesn't gain traction. Instead, the class collectively agrees to gather uniquely shaped stones from around the campus and showcase them to other classes. After the class ends, Saiki is taken by surprise when a rather peculiar-looking boy named Nendo, who bears a resemblance to Uncle Grandpa, sneaks up behind him and playfully covers his eyes. This unexpected event startles Saiki, given his usual ability to sense anyone approaching from a distance of at least 200 meters due to his telepathic powers. However, Nendo's completely blank and thoughtless mind makes him undetectable to Saiki, consistently catching Saiki off guard. Upon noticing Nendo's presence, Saiki is quickly invited by the unusual Nendo to join him in a rock hunting adventure. Despite Saiki's attempt to decline, his response is interrupted by Shun, an eccentric individual who holds a belief in a conspiracy theory about a secret society aiming to wreak havoc on the world, a notion he dubs the Dark Reunion. To avoid potential eavesdroppers, Shun guides Saiki and Nendo to the rooftop of the building. There, he unveils a letter he claims to have stumbled upon in his closet. The letter ominously predicts an impending attack during the upcoming festival. Oblivious to Saiki's extraordinary powers, Shun seeks assistance in dealing with this alleged New World Order. Saiki pretends to agree, although he harbors doubts about the credibility of the situation. With merely a week remaining until the PK festival, the stage is set for further developments. Seated at his desk, Kusuo inadvertently begins to overhear a conversation among a group of girls. One of them is the popular Kokomi Tsuruhashi, who is being encouraged by her friends to enter the Miss PK contest, a competition to decide the most attractive girl in the school. Despite her vanity, Tsuruhashi pretends to downplay her chances and suggests that another friend should participate instead. However, Saiki can gather from his abilities that Tsuruhashi actually wants to participate and believes she would easily win. As Kusuo listens to her inner thoughts, he remarks that he isn't particularly interested in Kokomi, but she seems intrigued due to his apparent lack of attention towards her. During their vacation encounter, Tsuruhashi warmly greets Saiki at the park, expecting him to be captivated by her charm throughout the summer. However, when Saiki offers a casual greeting without any apparent infatuation, she becomes quite offended. She assumes his lack of a proper response must be due to being taken aback by her beauty. To rectify this, she decides to greet him again, but Saiki deliberately ignores her this time, exacerbating her frustration. The notion of someone not showing interest in her is hard for Kokomi to fathom. She speculates that Saiki might have thought she was acting strangely, prompting her to approach him once more. In an attempt to confirm her presence, she tries to touch him. However, Saiki deftly evades her and continues on his way, seemingly unfazed. He eventually teleports away, leaving Kokomi both puzzled and disheartened. Afterward, when Tarahashi notices Seiki's sudden disappearance, she brushes it off as a hallucination. Yet, she interprets this peculiar occurrence as a sign of her developing feelings for him, leading her to become infatuated and increasingly fixated on him. She attempts various methods to establish a connection, only to face continuous rejection. On the day of the festival, Saiki shares breakfast with his parents when a cup unexpectedly breaks, causing his mother to view it as a bad omen. Disregarding any superstitions, Saiki pays no heed and proceeds calmly to the festival. His plan is to utilize his powers to prevent any potential incidents before the event kicks off, ensuring a smooth and trouble-free experience for all attendees. The whole group gathers for a final meeting, proudly showcasing the various stones they've found. Among them, Aaron Kobayasu's stone stands out due to its reddish hue. Seeing the stone, Saiki recalls that Aaron is a former delinquent who recently transferred to PK High School with the intention of changing his life. However, despite his efforts to distance himself from his troubled past, Aaron occasionally exhibits peculiar behavior, often imagining ink as blood. Meanwhile, Saiki retreats to the corridor, where Tarahashi continues to pursue him. She's determined to create coincidental situations that would allow them to be alone. Little does she know, Saiki can read her thoughts and is already aware of her plans. Filled with excitement about her plans, Kokomi is eager to approach Saiki and talk to him. However, her attempt is interrupted when a group of enthusiastic individuals arrives. They introduce themselves as members of Kokomi's fan club, imploring her to participate in the Miss PK contest. While Kokomi is engaged with them, Saiki seizes the moment to teleport outside. He finds himself at Yuraiyaku's illusionism show, a performance put on by a student from a different class. Saiki observes that Yuraiyaku is incorporating his own mother as an assistant in the act. This raises Seiki's concerns about the possibility of something going wrong. Recognizing the potential issue, Saiki decides to stay put, ready to provide help if needed once the show commences. The magician explains his act, detailing how he will be tied up and confined within a box secured with chains. He will have a 3-minute window to escape before his assistant starts inserting blades through the openings in the box. Upon hearing about the illusion, Saiki assesses the situation and realizes that there's a significant risk of something going wrong. He teleports into the box to help the magician get out. However, when Saiki arrives, he discovers that the magician, Ryoko, has already successfully completed the trick and is no longer inside the box. Due to the limitation of waiting 10 minutes between each teleportation, Saiki is unable to immediately rectify the situation. As a result, he observes as the magician's mother pushes the blades into the box, prompting the illusionist to wriggle to avoid being hit. After 3 tense minutes, Saiki breathes a sigh of relief for having deftly avoided the swinging blades. The suspense continues as Yurioko's mother reveals the next daring feat, using a crane to drop the box from a 30-meter height. The audience watches anxiously, fearing the worst outcome. In a heart-stopping turn of events, just before the box hits the ground, Saiki leaps, skillfully avoiding any harm and landing safely. This defies the laws of inertia and adds to the spectacle's intensity. However, the astonishment doesn't end there. Yurioko's mother takes things up a notch by pouring a gallon of fuel into the box and setting it on fire, prompting Kusuo to freeze the box's interior and prevent the flames from spreading. As if the spectacle wasn't already wild enough, the daring woman declares their next move, to crush the box with a steamroller. But just as the massive machine is about to make contact, Saiki realizes that the 10 minutes required for his teleportation ability to reset have elapsed. In a swift moment of realization, he seizes the opportunity and teleports away, narrowly escaping the impending collision. Right at that moment, the magician reappears on the stage, capturing the crowd's attention once again. Meanwhile, Saiki materializes in a different area of the courtyard, reflecting on how narrowly he escaped being crushed. Over on the opposite side of the school, Tarahashi gives in to her fan club's persistent request and agrees to participate in the beauty contest, albeit as a judge. This decision leaves many of the boys feeling dissatisfied. In the midst of all this, Shun, feeling frustrated, turns away from the crowd and starts walking towards the back of the school. Unexpectedly, a member of the Dark Reunion approaches Shun and engages him in conversation, leading him to the group's designated meeting place. There, Shun comes face to face with the other members and is introduced to Moonlight Butterfly, the group's leader. To Shun's surprise, Moonlight Butterfly claims that he used to be a part of the Dark Reunion. At this point, the boy reveals his past as one of the highly respected warriors within the Dark Reunion. He explains that he chose to desert the group upon uncovering their true nefarious plans. He confesses to stealing the Stone of Destruction, an act that has marked him for pursuit ever since. To escape his pursuers, he resorted to a forbidden spell, which transformed him into a spirit that took refuge within Shun's body. Despite this confession, Moonlight Butterfly, the cult's leader, extends an offer of forgiveness and a chance for the boy to rejoin their ranks. When Shun declines the invitation, Moonlight Butterfly resorts to drastic measures, employing his powerful laser pen against the former member. Amid this intense encounter, the Dark Reunion's leader unveils a significant revelation. There exist 7 sacred spheres on the school campus, each possessing the potential to dismantle the cult. Their presence at the school is driven by the mission to destroy these spheres. They implore Shun to pledge to locate and eliminate these spheres, vowing to eradicate the sect before they cause harm to anyone else. Meanwhile, Hiro is energetically inviting people to join the school marathon. Suddenly, Nendo appears behind him, expressing his own interest in participating. The marathon's prize for the winner is a precious 10-minute opportunity to spend time with Kokomi. Concerned about potential accidents, Saiki decides to keep an eye on the marathon runners to ensure their safety. As the race kicks off, Hiro is determined not to be outdone by Nendo. Throwing caution to the wind, he runs with abandon, even disregarding traffic signals and narrowly avoiding collisions with cars. To everyone's surprise, Nendo, despite his seemingly laid-back demeanor, showcases remarkable speed, effortlessly keeping up with Hiro. He even matches the pace of the red-haired Rock Lee while casually enjoying a can of corn stew. Undeterred, Hiro maintains his fervent pace through the streets. To prevent any mishaps, Saiki employs his psychokinesis to manipulate traffic lights and levitate cars, ensuring Hiro's safety. However, Nendo manages to catch up, casually mentioning that he took a break to buy another drink, offering his friend a can of bean soup. Hiro's gesture is met with refusal, as Saiki declines. Undeterred, Nendo enjoys the canned food while running backward, managing to maintain his lead. As they approach the finish line, Hiro resorts to a cunning trick, claiming that a sumo wrestler awaits on the other side of the field. Taking the bait, Nendo stops to look, allowing Hiro to secure victory through this deceptive move. When Nendo realizes he's been fooled, he playfully employs the 1,000 years of death technique on Hiro, generating laughter from onlookers. Within the school, Eren opens his locker to find a letter from his former gangmates, inviting him to a meeting elsewhere on campus. Given his transformed demeanor, Kobayasu chooses to walk past his former comrades, finding amusement in their failure to recognize him. Concurrently, Shun walks by, carrying 2 bowling balls. The criminals notice him and inquire if he knows Kobayasu. Hearing the name, Shun immediately points to Eren, who instructs him to leave. Left alone with the delinquents, Kobayasu shows no interest in playing along. The leader of the group strikes him with a bat, unintentionally awakening Kobayasu's latent instincts. Reacting instinctively, the former delinquent launches a bare-handed counterattack against his assailants. Within the school, Kusuo continues to worry about potential incidents during the festival. However, his concerns take a back seat as Tarahashi manages to track him down and sticks close to him. Unable to shake her off, Kusuo reluctantly agrees to her invitation to visit the haunted house, hoping to eventually find a way to separate from her. As they pass by Koro-sensei's room, their plans are interrupted by Nendo, who joins their group, foiling Kokomi's hopes of having a private moment with Kusuo. As they move forward, Tarahashi puts on an act of being genuinely frightened by the haunted house, while Kusuo remains unfazed. Thanks to his psychic abilities, he can see through walls and observe other students as they navigate the school's corridors. While exploring the haunted house, one of the boys attempts to scare the group but ends up fainting upon seeing the enormity of Nendo's chin. This unexpected turn of events allows the group to swipe some props and disguise themselves as ghosts. After exiting the haunted house, both Saiki and Nendo head to the restroom. In a surprising move, Nendo takes advantage of the situation and snatches Seiki's glasses, triggering his power that turns anyone who gazes at him into stone. Aware that it will take 24 hours for his friend to return to normal, Saiki decides to escort Nendo to his classroom's rock exhibit, effectively diverting attention and preventing further issues. Concerned about his glasses, Saiki reaches out to his mother and asks her to find his spare pair in his room. However, due to her aversion to his messy room, she declines to enter. Left to his own devices, Saiki scours the school for replacement glasses, inadvertently petrifying several students along the way. Feeling uncertain, Saiki seeks refuge in the gym storage room. Unexpectedly, he finds Taro-Hashi there, engaged in some mysterious activity. With time ticking, Saiki dismisses her presence and requests some space. As Taro-Hashi obliges and departs, Saiki suddenly realizes that Kobayasu is still involved in a confrontation outside. Noticing Kusuo's gaze, Eren tries to play off his actions as weightlifting, attempting to conceal his true intent. However, realizing that Kusuo isn't interested in his explanation and simply wants the glasses, Eren gives in and hands them over to ensure Kusuo's silence. With his glasses back in his possession, Saiki becomes aware of the approaching professor. He swiftly uses his powers to temporarily reverse the physical state of the criminals' bodies, allowing them to escape. Saiki then warns the criminals that he's aware of their past and will reveal it if they cause any more trouble. Having successfully dealt with the situation, Saiki uses his abilities to manipulate reality, ensuring the safe return of his glasses. This action effectively eliminates the risk of accidentally petrifying anyone else. With this challenge resolved, Saiki believes his problems are now behind him. As Saiki gets ready to teleport away and relax, Taro-Hashi appears once again and invites him to join a couple's game. Not interested in the idea, Saiki declines and prepares to leave. However, before he can make his exit, Kokomi's fan club shows up, warning Saiki that they'll take action against him for spending too much time around Kokomi. Seeing the situation escalate, Taro-Hashi steps in to distract the fan club members, giving Saiki a chance to escape. Despite their efforts, the fan club members persistently chase them. The pursuit eventually leads them to the storage room in the gym, where they become trapped after the fan club locks the door using super glue. Inside the storage room, Saiki taps into his psychic abilities to read Taro-Hashi's thoughts. He uncovers Taro-Hashi's master plan. She orchestrated the marathon, manipulated the involvement of the Dark Reunion, and even influenced Kobayasu's challenge. All of this was orchestrated to keep Saiki away from his friends. Taro-Hashi then coerced her fan club into chasing them into the storage room and sealing them inside, all to create a moment of privacy between her and Saiki. Now faced with this predicament, Saiki must find a way to escape without revealing his psychic powers. Shun successfully gathers 7 bowling balls and brings them to the supposed lair of the Dark Reunion, which turns out to be a group of Kokomi's fans disguised as the organization. Upon his arrival, the leader of the group pleads with Shun not to use the spheres, cautioning that they will face disintegration. However, Shun's intention all along has been to use the spheres. After positioning the bowling balls, Shun initiates a ritual. The members of the supposed Dark Reunion quickly disperse in all directions, leaving Shun completely alone. He believes that he has finally outwitted the organization. However, outside the lair, the actual criminals return with the rest of their gang and start menacing Kobayasu. Kobayasu, unaware of their presence, remains puzzled by the events unfolding around the gym. Saiki becomes aware of the group's presence and starts thinking of a way to prevent a dire situation. However, since he's trapped inside and can't leave without arousing suspicion from Taro-Hashi, he devises a plan to manipulate time. Using his powers, Saiki makes the entire group disappear right in front of everyone by sending them back in time. The tremendous effort to save Kobayasu drains Seiki's energy, leaving him utterly exhausted. This exhaustion also affects his telekinetic abilities. Kokomi finally breaks free from her hypnotic state and notices the antennas in Seiki's hair. Strangely, she begins to play with the object and accidentally removes one of the antennas. This unintentional action triggers the sudden release of all of Seiki's powers. The repercussions are widespread as sensors all over the planet malfunction and error messages start appearing on the space station, warning of a potential world-ending event. At that moment, Saiki wakes up and tries to lean on a wooden object, only to accidentally disintegrate it. Seeing this, Taro-Hashi becomes startled and drops the antenna she was holding, causing it to fall somewhere in the warehouse. As Saiki notices the missing object from his head, he turns to Taro-Hashi and asks her about it. However, before she can respond, the room freezes, creating a sense of unease that leads the boys to suspect they might not be on Earth anymore. With few options available, Kusuo decides to wait for Taro-Hashi to faint due to the thin air. He begins to take action, using his psychic abilities to retrieve the lost antenna and restore the building's position to Earth. Yet, the challenges aren't over. Amidst the chaos, Saiki realizes that explaining the situation will be nearly impossible. In a bold move, he expends the remainder of his power to travel back in time an entire day. This forces him to relive the festival, ensuring everyone's safety while also navigating Kokomi's advances and making the right decisions this time around.